know what? I am so excited. I'm here in Nevada. To be honest, I'm very close to a place called Las Vegas, but we won't talk much about that. But I'm in a place which I'm really excited to be in. It's Henderson Bird Viewing Preserve. And I'm going to go in and meet my good friend Alex, and we're going to be watching hopefully a whole ton of birds that you would never expect to find in an urban environment like this. I mean, we're literally a stone's throw from the Chippendales and from the gambling, and you can come here to a wonderful spot, enjoy some great birding, and I'm so excited. I'm so looking forward to meeting Alex. You're going to love him. He's a great guy.
So this is our classroom. This is where we do a lot of our youth education.
You know, I wish I had a classroom like this when I was a kid.
You do.
Yeah, I wished I did.
It doesn't look like much at first, but there's so much to see in here.
That's great.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And this is a city park. This is not a national wildlife refuge. It's not a national park. It's not the type of park that usually has lots of good installations and a lot to see, but we're lucky to have this classroom. This is a repurposed trailer, and it can accommodate about 25 people. And so we'll generally have classes come in of 15 to 20 students. We'll have them sit around here and we'll do a quick orientation when they come to the preserve. Most of these kids only get 2 hours with us ever in their lives. And so we have to make sure that we're showing up to give them the best 2 hours possible. So we bring them in, we do a little orientation, and we welcome them to this wetland. This wetland in the desert is extremely important. And wetlands here, like most places, the most biodiverse terrestrial habitat. And in the West, in the desert, that's extremely important. And so we welcome them to this wetland and we talk about why this place is so important for birds and other wildlife. And we'll get them going. We start off by having a few questions for them and asking them to look at a couple features of these birds. And we'll probably start off with some adaptations. You know, we start off on bird feet. So we might walk over here and I'll find a bird that they're familiar with and ask, do you know what this bird is? Most likely they do. It's a Canada goose. And I'll say, what do you think of these feet over here? And they're sitting over here and they're all engaged and they're looking over and they see the webbed feet. Okay, what do you think they do with those webbed feet? They swim. Okay, let's find another bird that has different feet. Can you find 3 birds that have really big claws? And then they break up and they all start looking. And they'll come back, and of course they go straight to the owls because owls just have that power on kids and people. And they see the feet there. All right, look at the beak. We'll look at the beak and I'll say, find another bird in here that has a similar beak. And they find the falcon. What do you think the beaks are for? So we go through those adaptations that help these birds live. And when we start off that way and walk out there, we have about an hour and a half left with them. And so now they're looking, they're engaged, they're looking at the bird's feet, the legs, the beak. They might be looking at camouflage if we talk about camouflage. And then we bring them back here. And these kids are so excited to go to a place like this. They had no idea it existed. And we tell them about the opportunities to come back and borrow binoculars here because this place is free. Free admission is so important, and having the binoculars for them to rent or loan out so they can go do some birding is just amazing. And now they know that they have this resource and they're hooked.
Listen,
so
if I was a
amazing.
kid, I'll be here every week. And these birds that you have here, the ones that are all stuffed, were they all found in the preserve or around the preserve?
I believe that they were donated to the bird preserve a very long time ago by somebody who had the permits to taxidermy birds, and they were a donation. And pretty much every single bird that you see here can be found on the preserve except for this one. We don't have any ring-necked pheasants.
Well, that's not a great loss, is it, really? Good. Well, this is great, and I'm itching now to get out and see the real things.
Let's do it. It's amazing. I hear you have some birds you're after.
Well, you know, I'm not usually after many things, but I heard there's a couple of things here that could be interesting, but I'm happy to see anything.
Okay. we will see a lot, and we'll maybe see some birds that you're looking for along the way. You just never know. Yeah. No matter what, it's gonna be an awesome time.
So Alex, we've gone through the registration process, seen your lovely shop and your classroom.
Seamless.
And we're under the flight path of a load of planes, I've noticed. But we have a beautiful vista behind us. What is it?
This place is amazing. I come here all the time. I live in the neighborhood so that I can come to this place over and over and over. This is the Henderson Bird Viewing Preserve, and it belongs to the city of Henderson. It's managed by the city of Henderson, but the water is coming from a water reclamation facility. We have a really interesting way of recycling our fresh water here in Las Vegas. All of our water in Las Vegas and Henderson is used or is taken from the Colorado River. And so a big pump comes up, bringing that water into the city, and then we use it. After we use it, we're flushing our toilets, running our sinks, taking showers. The water gets sent to water reclamation facilities. They're treated through a series of processes, and then some of that water, after it's filtered and cleaned, goes into these 9 ponds. These 9 ponds make up the Henderson Bird Viewing Preserve, and it became a park in the late 90s with the help of the local Audubon chapter and some engineers in town, and they turned it into an actual park. So it's over 100 acres. There are 9 ponds with dirt trails that you can follow, and you can just zigzag around and explore different habitats. One of the reasons that this place is so special is that it's a wetland in the desert, so wetlands just inherently attract a lot of birds, insects, mammals, reptiles, and it's also a wetland that has different types of plant communities. So it has a mosaic of wetland species. You have cottonwoods and Gooding's willows that warblers like to be in, that will get a lot of migratory songbirds in when they're passing through in April and in fall. We get lots of ponds for dabbling ducks, diving ducks. Waders are attracted to the area because of small fish. We also have lots of birds of prey, and they're all here because of how much water there is and the diversity of wetland habitat, including a lot of native plants. So we'll walk around, and as we're going, we're gonna see these birds that are drawn here to this wetland. There's really not another place like it in the area.
Fantastic, I can't wait.
Let's do it. There's a snipe over here.
Yeah.
If you look low and move slowly, just right of the shadows and that little puddle of water in front of the cattails, there's a bird just in the shallowest part of that water.
Yeah, it's called a Wilson snipe, only found in North America. The Eurasian or European snipe, the common snipe, is very similar and only split not too long ago actually, so they're very, very similar. You know what, Alex? I absolutely love this place because, as you said, it's an oasis, but it's also an urban oasis because I look around and I can see human habitation all around us. But I'm so excited because I know, as you said several times, that things get drawn into this place.
Imagine in the spring and songbirds, shorebirds, raptors, swallows, they're all migrating over the desert. They've left Mexico and they're making that big push south. A lot of our songbirds are migrating at a couple 100 feet high. Some of those shorebirds might be a couple 1,000 feet up. And so when they're flying over this landscape, there's a whole bunch of desert. And there are some pretty amazing birds that live in the desert, but many of the migratory ones can't really get by in arid desert habitat. So they see this green, they see this water from way up high, and it's like a bug light, moths to a flame. You know, they come right in, and there's so much food here because of all the fresh water. So it's a place that we all love here in Las Vegas for those that are bird watching, and it gets a lot of visitors for good reason. We just spotted one of the long-tailed ducks that's been hanging out on the bird preserve. It's unusual to have long-tailed ducks down in southern Nevada any time of year. If they are going to show up, it's going to be in the wintertime. And they prefer larger lakes, bodies of water. But at the bird preserve, there's food, there's safety, there's cover, and enough food to go around for the buffleheads, for the ruddy ducks, occasionally goldeneye.
Okay, let's rewind. Hang on a sec. Hold on. Now, the long-tailed duck, which I've got in my scope now, the long-tailed duck is a seabird. What the hell is it doing here? We're in the middle of the bloody desert.
I wish that we could ask that bird. It may have been migrating from the Arctic all the way to the Pacific off of California, Oregon, Washington, and just made a wrong left turn and ended up here. That's a good point. Why do you think it might have showed up?
Me?
Yeah, what's your theory?
I think it's a nice place here, and I think he definitely wants to show up here.
Who would pass this up? Where would you expect to see this bird in Europe?
I'd expect to see it along the coastlines in northern Europe and in the Baltic states, in the Baltic Sea, for example. No, nowhere south of that, really. So to have that here, it's incredible. Really exciting. I mean, long-tailed duck in the middle of the desert. So we're just doing what birders do. Whenever you come to a spot, you don't walk past it. You have a look. You make sure you check every single bird individually, just to make sure they are what they are, or what they think they are. Because you never know. That's how you find unusual bird. You look amongst the ordinary for the extraordinary, and also never forget to keep looking up, because earlier Alex had a potential prairie falcon, a bird that I personally have only ever seen once in my life, and I wasn't looking up when he saw it. So always look up, because things do fly overhead as well. But this is a wonderful place. I mean, the mountains in the background look so beautiful, but there's so much concentration of water birds here, as well as other stuff, isn't there, Alex?
This place is loaded with birds, and we're going to cover so many habitats just in this little place, with this backdrop of the suburban sprawl and the starkness of the Mojave Desert.
And just a little thing for those interested, this is a little bit kind of nerdy here now, but I do get like that sometimes. Here in America, you have the northern shoveler, which also occurs in Europe, also known as the northern shoveler. What I've noticed is that the male northern shovelers here have a purplish sheen to their heads, whereas the male northern shoveler in Europe has a greenish sheen to its head. Has anyone else noticed that before? We can see over several of the pools, and also looking over to our left, we can see the wonderful sprawl that is Las Vegas.
There it is, in all her glory. Yeah, it's got to be kind of shocking to go from being there last night and then coming here and just kind of having a 180 change of pace. All the lights and the sounds, and then come to a place like this. But the city life, the sounds, all the activities of a human habitation is like right up against this place where the birds are. So it's like this contrast of nature and the city coming together. Crissal thrasher.
Oh.
Crissal thrasher just ran across the trail. We don't really get great looks at them. And this one has some white on the tail.
I can see it, yeah.
This one's partially leucistic.
Crissal thrasher is a bird I've never seen before. I'm actually holding down my excitement because I'm trying to be professional, because normally I'd be swearing and stuff. But It's a bird that I've never seen before. It's a new species for me in the world, not just in the USA. And I was warned of its presence by Alex, so I was able to sort of calm down a little bit before. It's got a long tail, it's brownish, it's got this kind of curved beak. Um, and as Alex says, this one actually has a little bit of an aberration. Is that the right word? Where it's kind of, is that the right word? Yeah.
Aberration.
Aberration even. It's got a bit of whiteness sort of inside of its tail, which shouldn't be there. But it's a new bird.
Amazing.
This is what I love about birding. You don't know what you're going to expect, and you don't know how it's going to make you feel either. Because even, when I say even, seeing birds that you see all the time, it's still amazing to see birds and other wildlife in areas where you wouldn't expect to find them at all. And in such a beautiful place like this as well, it's just incredible to come across stuff. And it's just, I can't put it into words. It's fantastic when you get to see new birds, when you get to see new mammals, anything that's, you know, alive. It's just a fantastic thing.
So I have to tell you something. You did something that I was not able to do over the course of probably 20 years. And you were able to help my mom become a urban birder.
How's
And well, yeah, so I was always talking about birds when I was younger. And it must have left some impression on my mom. You know, she took me birding when I was younger. She woke up very early and took me to places to look for new birds. And I never quite got her to go out and appreciate birds the same way. She was interested, but not something she wanted to do to spend her time. But one day, she texted me a photo of a bird, and it was singing on the balcony. I look at the photo, and she's like, "What kind of bird is this?" And I say, "That's a funny bird to get excited about. That's the Eurasian collared dove." And I tell her a little bit about what the dove is doing. The dove's singing, it's a spring. And she realizes that she loves the bird because the bird is looking for love. That's how she takes it. And so I tell her about it and I say, "You know what? There's a book I think you're really going to like. A lot of people are talking about it right now. It's your book." And I send it to her and she reads through it. She gets binoculars and she's birding in the neighborhood.
That's fantastic.
So you just never know who you're going to impact.
Yeah.
So very cool. My mom was so intrigued with your story. She grew up poor in Miami, and she ended up working in the same community that she grew up in. And for her to connect with nature in that way says something about the way that you delivered it, or something that she identified with you, I think, was part of it as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so I had to share that with you.
Well, that's great. I mean, I don't know what to say. That's all you can hope for, though, when you write a book like that, to get people engaged, and that's great. If you can just turn one head, then it's job done. It's been really wonderful getting to learn about this place. Not so much about, I mean, obviously the wildlife here is amazing, but the fact that you've got such great outreach to the local population as well as the kids. We've passed a couple of groups already today. It's fantastic, but this is an educational facility as well. Brilliant work. And I will definitely be telling people about this when I leave here. So thank you so much for sparing the time to show us around.
Following along on your adventures and to meet in person and to show you this place. You know, there are hidden gems everywhere you look, but you just have to know that they exist and then get out there. I have a question though. If you could give a message to the people of Las Vegas that may not know about this type of place, maybe a younger you out there, what would you want them to know about a site like this in the city?
I think you need to have, or give yourself just 10 minutes every day. Draw yourself away from your phone, from whatever you're doing in a city, and just look up. Just find somewhere with natural green and natural blue, and allow yourself just to immerse yourself cut out all the noises around you. Try and sort of blot out the sounds of the traffic and all that sort of stuff, and get connected to nature.
Mm-hmm. It's easier than we think sometimes.
It is easier.
It's all out there.
It is.
Well, thank you. Keep up the great work. I love what you're doing. Keep spreading that good word about birds and birding, and I'll see you when I see you.